Welcome! As you probably can tell from the title, the thumbnail and description, if you could be bothered to read it, tonight I'm doing something a little bit different, something I don't do all too often, but I'm hoping to do a lot more this year, and that's going to a concert. So usually I wouldn't make a video talking about tribute acts as such. However, there's a couple of reasons why, maybe three reasons actually, why I'm going to actually talk about and make a video on this particular trip tonight. So firstly, the bands I'm going to see are a tribute act called Slipknot and a tribute act for System of a Down called Chop Suey. And usually, like I say, I wouldn't make a video on these kinds of things. However, the lineups of these bands include, from what I can tell, it's kind of hard to find information on the bands in depth, who the band members are, etc., where they're from, all that other stuff. But apparently, these guys are kind of a big deal as tribute acts go, and they've done shows around Europe, and it seems that they're made up of members of bands like Opeth and Dragon Force. I believe Sam Topman was one of the names I saw in it. Whether or not he's still in it is another question. Like I say, it's kind of hard to find who's still in it, but at different times I've come across information that's linked these tribute acts to kind of big names. Second reason why I'm making this video is because, like I say, I'm planning on doing a lot more of this year, and frankly I'm out of practice. I just want to get back into a situation where I'm filming out and about from this particular room, having to edit quickly on the fly, because I like doing these vlogs and such, but I always get a whole thing of, God, how do I do this again every single time I do one of these? And the third reason, more to the point, is now I really want to be in practice for next weekend, when I'm going to be vlogging the entire weekend, and I'm going to be trying to do a very quick turnaround on that particular video to try and get it out for Monday. No, it might be Tuesday, who knows. Anyway, let's talk about the bands themselves, Slipknot and System of a Down. Now frankly, to go see either of these bands these days is going to cost an arm and a leg. As it happens, the last show I went to before I started vlogging concerts, my first concert that I vlogged was a Maximum Hormone one, and that was 21, 22, thereabouts. But at the very beginning, January 2020, I did actually go to see Slipknot, and then came down with a quite potent, mysterious illness that put my wife and I out of commission for the next few weeks. I wonder what that could have been. I've had COVID about 3 times since then, and yeah, I can vouch that definitely was COVID I caught at the Slipknot concert at the very beginning of 2020. Well, anyhow, like I said, to go see either of these bands is quite pricey, especially System of a Down. I would love to go see System of a Down, but between how rarely they actually come to the UK or do a tour whatsoever, and all of our holding out hope that they will make another album one day, because let's face it, everything they've ever recorded has been quite well received, it's not exactly cheap. However, tonight I have actually got this concert for my wife and I. There's 3 of us going, but my wife and I got our concerts for I think less than 20 quid all in. And the reason being is because this is the first concert I've gone to where we've bought a ticket for a disabled person, me being blind and all, and technically someone else can come along completely free of charge as a personal assistant, and that is what my wife's come down as. So it's going to be a novel experience in that regard. I don't know if they're going to put me in a little fenced in area, or if I'm allowed to mingle just generally. It's always an interesting one at concerts. At the best of times, I try to just kind of root myself to one position these days, unless there's a big sort of mosh going on, then in which case I wouldn't be able to see anyway. But yeah, I tend to just root myself to one position, because I am not the best person to be around if I start walking places. Like I say, these bands are very, very cheap, and they're made up of, as best as I can tell, professional musicians from like signed bands and such, you know. These aren't just your typical pub giggers who just like got together and were like, oh yeah, I like Slipknot, let's just do something in a local pub. The place we're actually seeing them is going to be the same venue we went to see Alien Ant Farm at the end of 2024 in November. And last time we went there was a whole farce with the bands themselves, between the bands who were meant to be playing, Alien Ant Farm and CKY, and literally I think it was that night that the singer of CKY just punched Dryden, and yeah, like the whole thing fizzled out and we just ended up seeing Alien Ant Farm. But tonight I'm not expecting any real issues there. However, the trains are another story. I've had quite a pig's ear already this morning just with public transport in general. There are no trains past Faversham and we're going to have to catch replacement buses all the way there and all the way back from Faversham, which means that we're going to have to leave early to get there in good time, and we're going to have to leave the venue early to be able to get a bus back, and that's going to get us home in a good time, or get us back to Faversham in time to catch the last train. In any case, I'm hoping not to miss too much. Most gigs I go to these days tend to finish around about 10:30 rather than 11, which is something I always kind of remembered it being. So if that's the case, I might miss like maybe just one or two songs. But if that band goes on, whoever's going second till like 11, could be missing quite a bit of set. So that's frustrating. Like I say, I've already had enough palaver with public transport this morning. Had to get my cat into a vet. Bus literally just decided not to come at all in the end. It wasn't even late, it just didn't arrive, as far as I can tell, and the bus company aren't even like answering phones. This is the state of public transport in the UK today. I always wanted to make a video speaking specifically about that, especially my perspective as someone who relies so heavily on it. Talking about my expectations for tonight, aside from the fact that I'm probably going to miss at least some of the set of whoever goes second, I'm expecting from tribute acts to be effectively just hit after hit after hit after hit. There's not going to be like an album tour, I imagine, of like the latest album of Slipknot or whatever else like that. Not that Slipknot's currently touring at the moment, actually. I think I literally read the other day that they're taking a big break from the whole thing. But yeah, let's see where that goes. Could end up being another System of a Down though. To be honest, Slipknot's such a well-oiled machine, like the actual Slipknot. It's such a well-oiled machine and a business at this point onto itself that I can't see them taking a 20-year hiatus from recording albums like the way System has. But like I say, it's going to be probably hit after hit, and it's going to be, I expect, a good show. A lot of like singing along from the crowd, or roaring along from the crowd. I'm just going to like wait until I get there, see what happens, and just try to make the most of the day as I can, and expect to be spending at least 3 hours on replacement buses today. Okay, so before I left the house, I actually found a social media post that detailed a lot more about them. So it has a full list on the screen now of like who's in the band, but also they've actually got a whole world tour planned, and this is like stop 4, I believe. Also back in November 7th, they had Bradley Hall join them in their show at Brighton. Another thing I was incorrect about was that I said it would probably be all of the hits. Well, actually, they are sort of celebrating the 25th anniversaries of Toxicity and Iowa. So I'm expecting to see a lot. I think Toxicity is being played in full, and Iowa is going to be like the main focus. Okay, so after nearly 2 hours on a bus and about another 2 hours just chilling out in a McDonald's to stay warm, we waited outside for, I don't know, about 45 minutes. And now we're finally here among the first people. There's a whole bunch of people in like Slipknot costumes, sort of circa 1999. I was just looking up the the opening act for these two, it's seen as like a piss take / homage to all things new metal. So this is going to be quite a wild one. I'm just going to show you some like footage of the gig next, and then chat about it afterwards, basically. So, closing thoughts on the night. I'm going to actually talk about the journey home first, actually, because what a palaver. It feels like every single time I go to Margate for a concert, there are trains that are just just entire sections of the line that are down for repairs or whatever and maintenance, which I get, but like if the buses break down, it's good to have like a backup one. Fortunately, Southeastern actually went, particularly this one lady at Margate train station, went really above and beyond. Basically booked taxis for us to get to Faversham, and then made sure that the train waited until all of the taxis got there. And it took a bit of time to get everyone mobilised, all the taxis mobilised. Like, incredible stuff. Really, absolutely heroic moment from a train company that has been a bit mixed with me, to be honest. The hero of the hour. Anyway, now we actually talk about the gig. Okay, so I thought it was going to be all the hits, like I said, and then I read a social media post that said it was going to be like celebrating anniversaries of Iowa and Toxicity, and that they were playing Toxicity in full. As soon as BYOB came on, I knew that wasn't right. That was the first track they opened with, and straight away I thought to myself, okay, I must have read a post and it was for like a different part of the tour or a different tour or whatever. But the thing I wasn't really expecting, and I don't know why I wasn't expecting it, was these are ultimately fans, and they're curating the playlists not based on on like what like they think is going to do the best, but what they're curating the playlists that they want to see themselves should they ever go see like Slipknot or System of a Down. So actually it was just a real like passion project kind of feel, and really, I don't know, like a real deep love for those bands. But then here's the other thing. Let's talk about the opening act. The opening act is called what is it, like the Violent Inzident, and this was the most Y2K thing I've ever come across. Like real Attitude Era, like very South Park, very puerile, edgy, laddie kind of humor. However, it does not take itself, or anything for that matter, seriously at all. Yeah, okay, the humor's not exactly hitting the right beats with me now, but there's a part of me that grew up, that turned 12 in the year 2000, and still responds to that a little bit. You know, I grew up with South Park, and I can appreciate something like Chris Lilly and such. It might not always be my kind of humor, but I can appreciate it for what it is. This was a lot of that, and then just, it was like you get one of those shitpost subreddits about new metal, or like a big circle jerk subreddit about like new metal or turn of the century metal, and you turn it into a band and you just put loads of shitpost memes and stuff all over it, and from beginning to end I was laughing so much. I don't think I've ever laughed so much at a tribute act, and there was just so many layers of parody. It was just really brilliant, really good. I actually quite enjoyed the Violent Incident, and some of the songs were so off the wall in terms of craziness. And then you just get little things like this next song is to dedicate to a country that's given us so many great artists like Sepultura, and then he just turns around and talks off, and it's like, oh, for God's sake. Yeah. And this kind of sets the tone really well for the rest of the night, because actually in the screen at the back, if you're going to watch this, if you're going to watch like Chop Suey or Slipknot or the Violent Incident yourself anytime in the future, expect, like, with especially that last one, Violent Incident, expect a lot of parody. But even with like Chop Suey and Slipknot, like, yes, it's a love letter to those bands. Yes, these are professional musicians who like really like lock in with what the sound is and everything, and perform it so brilliantly. But also you get like a lot of it's like on the screen at the back of the stage, just memes and such being put up, and it's like there's this fine layer of taking the piss, just this fine layer of taking the piss and not taking it seriously at all. It was fun. It was a really fun night. As it turns out, they finished with Toxicity. The final track of Chop Suey finished just in the time we would have needed had our coach actually turned up. But as it turns out, like I say, our coach never did turn up. It turns out it broke down somewhere between Faversham and Margate, and then we were just left stranded, and I honestly thought they were going to wash their hands of us, but no. Really heroic moment from Southeastern for once. I'm not, maybe not for once, but like, you know, I've had my fair share of crappy experiences with them, so it's nice to get a nice one once in a while. But the concert itself, I mean, like, if you're going to this, expect a good time. It's going to be funny. If you haven't considered going to this yet, like, this is definitely a different kind of tribute act. Like, both Slipknot and Chop Suey, a lot of the people, a lot of the personnel are shared. Like, this is a thing. Turns out the drummer for Slipknot, who now is also the drummer for Chop Suey, he used to be a tech for Joey Jordison. That I wasn't expecting. And then you got Sam Topman, he was there on bass. And I was like, okay, sure. It's such a random thing. And then like they just say like, oh yeah, it's Sam Topman, and they started playing Fire in the Flames, and Sam Topman's just sticking his middle finger up at the singer, because like I think that was the play of it. The whole thing was a little bit jokey. It wasn't taken seriously at all. Like, they do not take themselves seriously. The whole thing, from beginning to end, was like a very, like, loads of parody at the beginning, and then for the remaining, like, actual sort of headline acts, like, dedicated fans performing really good covers with a fine layer of parody, just covering everything. I'd definitely see them again for the price we paid for them. Hopefully in a situation where it was like, you know, easier to travel to. I'd love it if I could actually go to a gig in Margate. I have a gig in Margate actually coming up in June, and it would be nice to be able to go to a gig in Margate and be able to just get a train back home again. That would be nice. Let's see if they can actually do that for once. But in any case, feel free to let me know what you think about like these bands, if you happen to have seen them before or you know their reputations. Have you seen any other good sort of like cover bands, like tribute acts, that are kind of made up of professional musicians and are done to like this ridiculously high standard where, you know, they're like world touring and all the rest? Because that was the thing that's really wild about all of this. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I am actually going to be vlogging again next week. Not a music concert this time, something else completely different. It's chess related, and it's in London. If you follow chess, you probably already know what that is. But if you don't, then it will be something very different from anything else I've ever done. Not even just like as a YouTube video, just in general. I've never gone to anything quite like this. But like I say, feel free to let me know any thoughts. Feel free to like the video, subscribe for more music content, like discussion and stuff like that, as well as like my monthly Anglo-Romany videos and a lot of gaming that I'm doing at the moment. And until next time, have a good one.